Dr. Roger Mandle is president and CEO of Roger Mandle Associates LLC, a consulting firm dedicated to assisting museums and universities in strategic planning, board and senior staff development, and advice during important transitions. Dr. Mandle is also the founder and chair of the board of the Massachusetts Design, Art, and Technology Institute. From 2008 to 2012, Dr. Mandle was Executive Director and Chief Officer Museums at Qatar Museums Authority. In this role, he was responsible for creating the foundational aspects of over 12 museums in Qatar. Dr. Mandle served as the president of Rhode Island School of Design from 1993 to 2008. During this time, RISD grew in international stature and assets. He completed a $115 million capital campaign in 2007 that brought extensive improvements to academic and museum facilities, technology, scholarships, and other financial assets, and and quality of life on campus. Dr. Mandle has also served as a deputy director and chief curator at the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C., the director of the Toledo Museum of Art, and associate director of the Minneapolis Institute of Art. He was also appointed as a member of the National Council on the Arts by both President Reagan and President George H.W. Bush, and served for 8 years.
Well, good morning and good afternoon to everyone. I'm delighted to have a chance to talk with you about some thoughts I've had about the directions of higher education, particularly in the arts, as we face a quite uncertain future with a number of very important matters that are affecting global life, culture, even the way we interact with each other on a daily basis. As we're coming through the end of our own pandemic in this early 21st century, I reflect on the fact that there must have been similar thoughts at other times throughout history with pandemics, and people wondering if we'll ever emerge from this kind of environment into something that would allow life to continue to have aspirations, forward thinking, creativity. And yet, you know, as the world emerged from the pandemics that caused some aspects of the Dark Ages, the Renaissance was born. Great art was created, even in the areas where people were hamstrung by lack of food and connections with each other. People were also making things that were of beauty, that gave them aspiration and hope. And it is in this way that I've been thinking about how artists are trained, designers are trained to think about both the tools we have at our disposal now in the 21st century, as we're just beginning to understand what the technological advances we've created for ourselves will mean, and also the world we face in which those tools can be used to make both beauty and practical improvements in the way in which we live. I was fascinated to hear Ashraf Salman's lecture about the future of architectural education, and wondering about how these principles he was speaking about could be applied. Online teaching certainly has been a new doorway opened that have allowed us to think in new ways about connecting with people beyond the campus. But on the other hand, what's happened to the studio experience? People able to gather together in workshops, understanding the sound, the feel of materials that they're working with, the clay, the metal, the wood, etc. Being able to pull a print off a printing machine to allow for people to work together on mixing the colors for the fabric that's going to be created with the looms that you hear clicking and clicking in the studios. While some of these earlier models are outdated or updated by new materials and equipment, the definite impact of pandemics is very serious indeed on allowing for these studio experiences to exist. Even in the architecture field, having a chance to have critiques in which one is looking over the shoulder of someone building an architectural model, not the same online as it is to be in a studio together. But nonetheless, these advancements allow us to create a more global model of education in which various cultures, people from various cultures are able to join with each other in the opportunity to learn together. So there are benefits as well. But I'm also concerned about the subjects and the way in which the climate for advancement of art and design and architectural education will exist. Issues that need priority understanding in order to make some impact. What is the impact, not just of a pandemic, a future crisis like we're enduring, but also with the fires in California, the increased storms coming across the land in various nations from hurricanes, the political, the racial, the despotic tensions that are developing in the world, wars, poverty, lack of food. How do the arts and design both communicate those human experiences, but also create opportunities for human solution? It seems to me that the preparation that students receive before they come to higher education are important, and the experiences of socialization that are critical to maintain are important. So finding the way with designers and artists working today to come up with better solutions for online education, for distance learning, for learning at the appropriate safe distance in a classroom or in a studio are important. As former president of RISD, I've stayed very close to that college as they've come up with solutions for studio learning at a time when it's difficult to get together in person, but also how to teach teachers to be better at online education in the arts. Understanding the need for research to help broaden the opportunity for people to learn is critically important. And so keeping together as a community of educators to learn from each other is very important. It's not been an easy time through COVID-19. The devastating impact on America's creative economy has recently been measured by Richard Florida and Michael Seaman in an article that was just published recently. And they say, based on their analysis, they estimated that 2.7 million jobs and more than 150 billion in sales of goods and services from the creative economy nationwide has been affected. That's devastating. That's 50% of all the creative jobs and industries have been lost during this period. How do we recapture those so that those students we're trying to educate in the schools of art and design or in the humanities are brought together again? We can't just educate people to be scientists, technologists, and so on without thinking about the humanistic background necessary so that those people have the empathy, the compassion, the connection with humanity and with the environment to understand the impact of what they will be providing. So in addition to training artists and designers, it's critically important that we train people in the humanities that go into medicine, that go into engineering, that go into business, so that they understand the impact of what they're trying to do. There's a fascinating exhibition that has just opened at the Walker Art Center that'll travel to Philadelphia Museum of Art and the Art Institute of Chicago, called Designs for Different Futures. It shows how these new ideas are going to come together to affect the future in Earth, everything from earth science to foods to materials to medicine, etc. It's an exhibition that I think is prophetic in many ways. There's a very important catalog that's being produced for this exhibition that will prove the point as well. Throughout, I think we need to think about those aspects of higher education that will impact the humanistic views of the world. Technology is not everything. Solutions to the pandemic medically are not everything. It's how we create the need for understanding psychology, respect for all humanity, and the environment in which we live are the critically important matters that will make the difference in our educational approach in the future. And to show how education will continue after university and affect the world will be important as well. Thank you very much.